Round four.
All right.
Game four.
Are we gonna learn? Are we gonna learn more about the pumpkins and
You will.
onions?
Yeah, you will.
Okay.
You will. You will. You will. There's no mystery to it. But the question around this is all about credibility in the boardroom. The editorial lens that we're trying to put here is reveal and change perspective, and it's credibility of procurement supply chain at the boardroom level. A.T. Carney, back in 1996 when I was a supply chain head, effectively had this term, supply chain procurement, strategic competitive boardroom weapon. They own a seat at the table because of the impact that they can actually bring. So the view is, where is the line between execution and designing the system in your mind, system as in supply chain and procurement, where supply chain can actually influence the outcomes and where you are simply absorbing constraints created elsewhere?
Yeah, I think that's going to go back to spend management and potentially revenue cycle, procedural costs. Those are the things that drive the business. To be transparent there, I've been at Christiana 18 months, haven't had a ton of exposure to that type of environment. I had a little bit at Rush when I was working with Jeremy. There's two areas where I've seen the board in my recent history get more curious about supply chain. One was a year ago, 18 months ago with tariffs. That was a big deal, and a lot of concerns around that and potential budget implications. I really think that when supply chain can start to more accurately project the cost of the service you are providing, now you can have a bigger impact on budgets and projecting real cost.
Yep.
I think that's what's key. That's our business. We measure adjusted days, census, discharges, length of stay. There is a cost component there, and so that I think when you can tie that together, that's when you can start going to the board with a little bit more impact and more predictability and forecasting on margin.
To be honest, Luis, that's pitch perfect with regards to the thought process that I had when I was a CPO as well. The net result is, if you align all cost structure with the revenue side, and then you can actually start to assist to actually influence, let's say, even the supplier side, because you can actually start to forecast to the suppliers that you've got all these other operations and all this actually coming through.
Yep.
And now you can actually negotiate better terms and conditions.
Yeah, it's your unit of service, right? Like, we take care of patients. How do we impact that? What's coming? What's new? What new services are coming out? I think that's key.
So in your view then, what builds the most credibility, for you? Is it numbers? Is it, let's say savings numbers? Is it the amount of efficiencies that you brought into the organization? So what gives you that credibility, to actually stand into the boardroom?
I think it's numbers, but I'm going to say real numbers. I think because behind that, what resonates the most with other leaders is efficiency. Like, there's things that we're working on right now that are going to drive an impact. People have questions around capital throughput. Physicians have concerns around, are we running out of product? Is it a Sunday and now are we close to having a never event? Those aren't good things. So I think you got to win those battles too, right? Like that means a lot to a physician or a chief of a department. But I really look forward to the day where we can have real data-driven conversations and around cost of service, and I think that does resonate with people. It absolutely is. So I think stay tuned. In these two categories I'm talking about, I think that's going to change the dynamic of the conversations we have. I mean, I was negotiating with a physician the other day, or partnering with a physician the other day, and he asked, how much did we save at last year's contract? So we gave him the real number. It was $900K. And he was proud of that, and he should be, and we should be proud of that. I think one of the things, though, that I would be curious about is our procedural costs going up or down? Is a new implant coming out? Are patients more sick? So are they costing more? And I think that resonates with people.
I'm drawing a big parallel, with regards to what's happening, in the political environment, today, which actually is affecting a lot of the supply chain heads, for example, in the high-tech sector, in the motor sector. For example, if things go wrong with regards to the tariffs, the cost of and the supply chain actually breaks down because they're not getting goods from certain countries, etc.
Especially in auto industry, the margins are low.
Extremely low, right? Extremely low. But the whole portion about that is if the supply chain actually collapses and you can start to forecast that, then you deserve a seat at the boardroom table.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah. Don't you think that we're getting very close to this, in healthcare? Because if there are so many hospitals that are, getting so close to, let's say, closure or, meeting in the negative margin side, that there is a great opportunity there to accelerate your seat at the table.
Yeah, I think so. But with healthcare, it's so regional. So it's been a while since I talked to an organization that's under that kind of pressure. And then, we've talked about this, and I know Jeremy and you are having conversations around this too. I think one of the things with supply chain and healthcare is does every IDN need to have an excellent supply chain strategy, or can we start scaling things together?
Yep.
And I really think that's an opportunity for healthcare. I don't know if every IDN needs a chief supply chain officer with a great sourcing team. How much of that can be centralized and adopted for your IDN specifically?
Yep.
And I think that'll help those organizations that maybe don't have. I think earlier you mentioned a department that needs to save $40 million or 40%
of $100 million.
Yeah. But they don't have the team. I believe you mentioned that last night, right? That's how do you help them, right? I think they would benefit from being able to partner with somebody that can scale supply chain sourcing intelligence.
Yep.
And yeah, that's a good opportunity.
I think that'll be an amazing opportunity with regards to that. Yeah. What do you wish the board understood about supply chain risk and leverage?
Yeah, I think I think the value there is what I've chatted about a few times. It's real value analysis, and I don't that's a journey that takes time, that takes maturity, but having real conversations around the cost of care, what technology you adopt, does the new outcome match the new cost? I think that's how you control costs. Are we bringing in a new line extension, or are we going to add all these costs because it's easier, maybe it's more efficient, but does the patient outcome match the 20% increase on that cost? Again, that's how you can flatline costs in healthcare, and that's how you can get more predictable with your budget and your true P&L.
And deserve a seat at the table.
Yeah, I think so.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Cool. Okay. So, game number 4. Credibility in the boardroom. Okay. So the editorial lens that we want to shine on here is to reveal and change perspective, especially associated with supply chain.
Yeah.
1996, Atikani, back in the days, their term that they used to use was procurement and supply chain, a strategic competitive boardroom weapon. Okay. So where's the line between execution and designing the system in your mind where supply chain can actually influence the outcomes? And so that gives you more credibility and seat in the boardroom. And just as an interesting fact as well, I just saw, I'm pouring through, multiple CPOs, speaking to them, and I'm looking at their LinkedIn profiles, and more often I'm starting to see this view in their about section that they offer a competitive edge. So what's your view with regards to the credibility in the boardroom?
I think the quote I like that quote, by the way, like leveraging it as a weapon, right? I think you need to build your supply chain so that it is actually can be used as a strategic weapon or arm of the organization. That gives you credibility. Like you're actually delivering. You're a lever that can be pulled to make a lot of difference in the organization, and not just in savings. And just the concept, like supply chain, we're process, people, technology. We get that, right? Being able to deliver that in a way that my team does things that have nothing to do with supply chain. We're helping deliver IT projects for the organization, right? Software implementations. that's because we see the world in a way that's been seen as an asset to the organization to help drive important initiatives to make sure they're delivered on time and achieve the value that's there. So I do think building a team and building the muscle within the organization is important to have credibility. Just demanding it, like, you can't do that. You actually have to show that you are that strategic asset.
Yeah. You know, when you did the laundry implementation, did that give you a new seat at the table as well, or let's say more credibility in the room?
Sure, things like that have definitely helped. But my ability to be able to do things like that is partly because of things that I already done, right?
Yep.
Like, so being able to step out and do something that other people would be like, I'd rather just stay with my current provider, it's safer. Like, so being able to do that and have that credibility and trust to go ahead and step out and do that.
And also, I suppose, to really, frame out a business proposal as opposed to being an operational, let's say, division that's actually, managing cost.
Yeah, exactly. It's managing costs to be able. I just always try to talk about not even managing costs, like how do we help deliver value for the organization, which is more than cost, right? How do we learn how to, not only in our own terms, like we talked about the last question, how do we explain the value proposition of the things we need to do to turn ourselves into more of that strategic asset, right? But then how do we also help the organization be able to have that muscle and support that and build that within the organization? Because we are, in a lot of ways, supply chain can deliver that in ways other people can't, because we're set up to think that way.
When someone's got to, right? So in line with that thinking, because you've already mentioned it, in order for you to, venture out and offer something different, you've had to prove yourself.
Yeah.
So where do you see the proof actually comes from, and what is the strength? So, for example, is it proof in numbers? Is it proof in business change? Is it proof in, let's say, efficiencies that you brought into the organization? Which is, let's say, the predominant side of providing.
You definitely have to deliver, right? You have to step out and you do have to deliver. But I think delivering, being able to then communicate changes that you need to make to kind of build towards what you need to keep delivering in the future, and then execute on those, like taking those risks and then delivering on those. That actually is a lot of it, right? You have to do that, like, because then you're seen as, because otherwise, to me, you're at a risk of, this is what I never wanted to become. I don't want to become seen as, well, you were great for delivering, but now the times have changed, and we need somebody that can deliver in the new future, because it's evolving rapidly. If you're not evolving rapidly and always thinking about that next step, you're going to be we need to find the new guy in the block that can deliver what we can't get out of. You're not that strategic asset anymore. We need to find somebody that is, right? So I guess that thinking has always.
So what's that? Because that's a personal driver, right?
Yeah,
so
because, a little bit. A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, which is exactly what we want to reveal, right?
Yeah.
So where does that itch come from?
I don't know. I mean, I don't like doing the same thing over and over. So that's definitely part of it. I have a competitive drive, so I do want to. I'm competitive, right? I want to be able to deliver. I want to be able to be successful and deliver success. There is a satisfaction in doing that, and doing something that's just rote and repetitive and being like, I'm good at it over and over and over, but like, can I create something that's new that actually takes us to a different level? That excites me, right? Yeah. And that's easy to rally people around, in my opinion, to rally your team around, because if you have strong performers, they like that too. Like, I can now take a step out and see if I can deliver. Like, we're delivering this. If we do this, we might be able to deliver on this level and keep moving it forward. That's exciting.
So that
and being creative. It's fun to be creative.
Yeah. Well, I can just see you're getting excited about that with regards to, let's say, taking fresh ideas and not wanting to do the same thing. Very much, similar sort of ilk, the competitiveness with regards to wanting to be first, not wanting to actually be that person that's redundant in the corner. Yeah. Done.
All right.
Brilliant.